This wildcard picks and game one edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use the promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app. Use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL. Win up to 20x in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving you $100,000. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, October the 2nd.
Second.
Yes, second. And we are here to have a look at, we're going to give some series picks for the wildcard games, which start tomorrow. And then we'll also have a look around the game one action, a couple of baseball games for me and that. Joining me to have a look around all of that is Mr. Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, how are you?
I'm doing well, coming off a busy Sunday. Glad I got to join you and Baz for the pregame. I love doing that. But yeah, we had a busy day yesterday, NFL and the end of baseball season. So overall, really good. Can't wait to the playoffs. You know, once October hits, it's baseball season all over again.
Yeah, it feels like the last couple of weeks we've just kind of been waiting around for the playoffs now. There was a few little bits and bobs that needed settling. And obviously last night still, Texas eventually blew it. They've been trying their best to blow it, and they managed it eventually last night and let Houston in. But yeah, you just feel like you've been waiting around for a couple of weeks just to get to this position. It was a busy few days. We did the NFL live show. You joined us on that, which was fun. I think we picked some winners between us on the Jags game. The Jags handicapped the Atlanta team total under. What an absolute gift that was. Yeah. I tell you what, Dylan, in Moonaf's little pick'em, right? Moonaf won't tell you this. In Moonaf's pick'em contest, I went 14-1 yesterday, straight up, Dylan, on the games. Is that? I mean, what are you telling me? 14-1. I know there's some short stuff in there, the 49ers and the Cowboys. Well, you've got the Buccaneers, you've got the Texans, things like that. So yeah, 14-1. You can't argue with that. So whisper it quietly, but I'm tiptoeing along quite well in that.
The Rams almost gave you a scare.
The Rams, yeah, there was a few tightish ones, but yeah, I was over the moon. Last night in baseball, seemed to be quite a lot of fun stuff went on as well. I know it was obviously the main focus for the playoffs was on Houston and Texas, but you had little things like Joey Votto getting thrown out of his last game potentially, which made me laugh. Did you see Adam Wainwright getting that bat?
Yeah, I loved it. Getting in that bat at his last game, Votto. I think he was intentionally trying to get thrown out, though. But
yeah,
I enjoyed that. Miguel Cabrera last game.
That was another one.
That was amazing. First ballot Hall of Famer. It was good to see Miggy go out and the Tigers to win their last game. On a positive note, Buck Showalter's gone. Thank fucking God.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
Oh man. It's like a relief that's coming off my shoulders. I'm happy about that. But other than that, I think the biggest, not takeaway, but the biggest tragedy yesterday was the passing of Tim Wakefield. I mean, yes. The guy was a legend. And growing up watching his knuckleball, I used to try to be in like the backyard with my dad trying to emulate it, but I was awful throwing a knuckleball. But he's a legend at it. And yeah, very sad to see him go at such a young age.
Yeah, I think there's a Netflix documentary. It might be just called Knuckleball, actually.
Oh, really?
Which follows Wakefield and a couple of other lads. And there's one player on the Night Hawks. I got my Night Hawks cap on tonight, actually. There's one player on the Night Hawks, Elliot from Los Angeles. He throws a knuckleball, and if you play catch with him, it's all he does. And it's horrible trying not to get your teeth knocked out because he just casually, you'll be chatting to the person next to you playing catch, and the next thing, this thing sort of dives through the air, hits you clean on the nose. So yeah, that was. George Kirby's little knuckleball that he threw as well as a tip of the cap was a nice touch as well. A little 78 knuckler that he struck someone out on. So the chat is full of beads tonight. Trevor's nowhere to be seen. I think the extra hour, the hour early's called Trevor. Yeah, Joey D got in first. Well done, Joey. Long years a Mets fan, fair enough. Kaysen, Haven't seen Kaysen for a little while. Donahue chipping a chair for the Twins, all over it. Catfish Dilly as well. I quite enjoyed handicapping these games, Dylan. It's weird. Like sometimes I'll do like a card of Premier League games and think it's really hard, or you might do a card of NFL games or a horse racing card or something, and you just get a feeling. But I sat down today and I went through all the series. I went through all the game ones, and I'm quite all right with a lot of my conclusions. A lot of things were sort of flowing, making sense rather than having to fight to make a pick. So, interesting stuff, which we will get into in 30 seconds' time. Once I've told you first about Game Time, helping you get tickets for your MLB Playoffs. Anything that makes buying tickets easier, because it's a right pain in the arse and doesn't need to be. Game Time helping you sort that out. It's the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for comedy, theatre, sport, anything you want. You've got flash deals, you've got last-minute tickets, so you can forget planning months in advance. Game Time, we've got tickets for everything that you want, and the Game Time guarantee is the best thing about their offer here. If you find tickets in the same section in row for less, Game Time credit you 110% of the difference. So the thing to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So what we'll do here, Dylan, is we'll start with the series, a few series picks rather than the game one picks. Although a lot of them are correlated. If you're taking a team to win the series, a lot of the time you're going to take them to win game one as well. Chronologically, we will go to the first series off the grid tomorrow is the Texas Rangers at the Tampa Bay Rays. For the series, Texas are plus 135 and Tampa Bay are minus 156. Dylan, who's your pick to go through here?
Yeah, as much as I do like the Rangers and I think their offense is really good, I have to back the Rays here. It's a little chalky, minus 155, like you said, over at DK, but I just think pitching, they have the experience, and they're actually a better hitting team than a lot of people would expect. I trust their bullpen. I think that's what it really came down to. Even if the Rangers, I guess, could sneak a game here or even get past the Rays, I think their bullpens wind up going to hurt them. I mean, they're bottom 10 in the league, 4.77 ERA. So even if they have a lead, it does worry me if they could hold on to it. Rays, they have the experience. Their bullpen is really good. And I just think hitting wise, they're going under the radar. So for the series, I know it's a little chalky, and I like you going through these first 4 series. I liked 3 of them. I think one will be a blowout, but other than that, I agree. I think most of these series will be good. But I'm going to take the Rays here in the first series against the Rangers.
Yeah, this series sort of led me to a couple of my maddest picks here. So don't get concerned. All my picks are going to be daft because I do calm down in a little bit. But so in terms of pitching here, it looks like game 1 will be Montgomery against Glasnow, with game 2 being Eovaldi against Eflin, game 3 TBD. I mean, Texas led that division for 160 days, Dylan.
I know.
Over the course of the season. They've got to be disappointed. It's got to be a flat end to the season. I think Tampa Bay will come in prepped. They'll come in rested, kind of mentally and physically. And you're right, they do have that experience. You can't take that away. These are the AL's 2 highest scoring teams. They're first and second in average. They're first and second in OPS. In terms of sort of Glasnow and Eflin, a 318 home ERA, a 330 home ERA for Eflin. I just think throwing Montgomery out tomorrow for the first game, and we're going to get to the first game in a minute. Throwing Montgomery out tomorrow gives them a great chance, at least to get themselves into the series. They won the season series 4-2, which it's not a huge sample, but it's still a win. You've got the little narrative of the Lau brothers going head to head, which I quite like as well. That's a nice story. So the couple of picks I picked here, I do think Tampa Bay will win, but I'm going to give you Tampa Bay to win this 2-1 is the price of plus 230. And I'm going to give this is my biggest price of the show. Yeah, Tampa Bay Rays to win from behind is 11-2 plus 550 because I think Montgomery could get it done for them tomorrow, and then Tampa Bay will get them later in the series. So yeah, Tampa Bay 2-1 plus 230, and Tampa Bay to win from behind is 11-2 plus 550. The next game off is Toronto Blue Jays at the Minnesota Twins. The Blue Jays. This is the closest game on the closest series on the books. The Blue Jays plus 100 and Minnesota a minus 120. The Blue Jays look like they'll be going with Gosman and then Bassett and Berrios in no particular order with them two. It's Lopez and Gray, the 1-2 punch for the Twins. Probably Joe Ryan up third if required. So with Minnesota, Lopez and Gray, they're both top 10 starting pitchers by WAR this season, being excellent. And behind them, Ryan, Kenta Maeda, and Bailey Ober are all above average as well. So they've got plenty of options. And Minnesota's value is concentrated in their pitching, I think. Lopez has pitched 6 innings with 1 earned run or fewer 11 times, which is impressive. Sonny Gray has done the same feat 9 times. The pen is not great in the numbers, but they've changed a lot lately. That was kind of a pre-All-Star break. The numbers kind of are a little bit misleading here. Duran lately's been great, so's Caleb Thielbar. Louis Varland, who was in the rotation early in the season, he's been absolutely lights out. Now, they haven't won a playoff game since 2004, so I think you have to hold that against them. The Blue Jays, I mean, how much have we struggled with the Blue Jays all season, Dylan? Yeah. They have underperformed, unquestionably. They're great against lefties. That doesn't help them here particularly. They've kind of turned into a pitching and defense team when everyone thought it was going to be this stellar offense, but it's counterintuitive. They've gone the other way. Just beyond Gosman, Berrios has given up 4 or more in 5 of his 9 starts. Bassett's a very similar type of pitcher. The bullpen's an absolute roller coaster. They could bring Yusei Kikuchi out in long relief, which I think will benefit them. This is really, really tight, but I do prefer Minnesota at minus 120 series, Dylan.
Yeah, so I think under the radar, I do think these two teams have the best rotation, besides the Brewers, because I think the Brewers have the best rotation in the playoffs so far. But the Blue Jays, I would rank second, just because besides the whole, I guess, Alek Manoah incident that, he kind of went on a roller coaster of a season, I think the 4 starters I think I have the most confidence in is Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, Kevin Gausman, and Yusei Kikuchi. And don't forget, Hyun-Jin Ryu, he's also returned from injury, and he's looked, I feel like all of them have been above league average. So I think it's in a good position. And they also picked up, I forgot, Jordan Hicks in the middle of the season as well. But the Twins, I did rank right below them. Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, they're all in the top 10 in AL ERA as well. So their bullpen, who do they have? Chris Paddock, you got Brock Stewart, Jonah Duran as well. So they do have a good bullpen. The Blue Jays, they go under the radar too. They have a top 10 bullpen as well. They're actually ranked a little higher than the Twins right now. So I know they're a little inconsistent, and I know we've gotten them all wrong, but I just think offensively, they're going to wake up. I think the Stars are going to wake up, and if this turns into a shootout, I think the Blue Jays are positioned to win. But if it does turn into low-scoring, tight games, I don't think it bodes well for the Blue Jays. I do think the Twins are a good spot, but I got to go with the Blue Jays, but yeah.
The Blue Jays look most likely, I think, of everyone, almost capable to do what the Phillies did last year, which is just get hot. Riley's joined us in the chat. Look, Riley is a Blue Jays fan. I don't think we were too offensive about them. Hyun-Jin Ryu might not be on the playoff roster. I did see Yusei Kikuchi's translator through a bullpen the other day.
No, I didn't.
Mate, I tell you what, he was throwing heat.
Was it good?
Oh, he could pitch in the Oakland rotation, no problem. He would slot him straight in Oakland or the Angels Should just go and sign him. Like, yeah, he was so heating in the Blue Jays bullpen. It was funny. Okay, next off the rank is the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Milwaukee Brewers. Arizona plus 155 and the Brewers are minus 175. Looks like the pitching matchups will be Brandon Fart will go. Hey, nearly, Dylan. You nearly didn't laugh. Will go first for Arizona just because number 2 and 3 here will be Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, and the D-backs had to employ them over the weekend. For Brewers, it's the 1, 2, 3 you'd kind of imagine. Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta, and Brandon Woodruff. Kelly and Gallen, we know about. Gallen's been good. He's better at home. Merrill Kelly is very steady Eddie. They've done really well against the Brewers this year. They've pitched 28 innings between them, only given up 5 earned runs. They've been really dominant against Milwaukee. And I quite like the D-backs bullpen's improved as well. Kevin Gingle's made a difference. They've got a lad called Sal Frank who's been going well. Thompson. A couple of these lads who've just come in September got really good numbers. I think the D-backs are going to have to do something a little bit different here because they're going to have to be aggressive, really aggressive on the base paths, which they always are. They're second in stolen bases on the season, where they're 22nd in runs scored. They're going to have to play a lot of small ball. So yeah, they'll stick to. They'll have a game plan and they'll stick to it. The Brewers are going to throw out these 3 good starters, all have an ERA of under 4. Their bullpen ERA is the best in the majors. It's just the offense, and we've said this all season. The batting average 23rd, OBP 17th, home runs 24th, slugging 25th. And getting back to the D-backs and stealing bases, Contreras is 22nd in throwing out runners. He's just not good at it. There's a lot of stuff he can do. Throwing out base stealers isn't one of them. So get on these all series. Let's get on some D-back stolen base props here, and we'll make some money. On the season, Arizona won 4 of 6. I'm going to take the dog again. I'm a sucker for an underdog. I'm going to take the D-backs here, plus 155, Dylan.
Oh, wow. I was referring to this series, the one series that I didn't like, and it was this one just because I just think offensively, pitching-wise, I just think this is a very bad series for the Snakes. Like, offensively, they're just middle of the pack in basically everything. They're middle of the pack in batting average, on base, slugging percentage. I guess the one young and bright spot is Corbin Carroll. I think he's fantastic. I think he's really going to be a difference maker, maybe this series and in the future. But let's shout out Mark Hanna, ex-Met. I mean, he's had a hell of a year since coming over from the Mets. He's been very more productive in the second half than the first half. He's increased their runs per game by more than a half a run. So William Contreras, he's a tremendous add as well that they add. Christian Yelich, he's looked like he's really transformed and had a really good season since 2018-19. So like I said, this is the best pitching staff, I think. And besides the 2 top guys, like you mentioned, Cy Young candidates, Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, in the back end of the bullpen, they did Paul Sewell. That's another one who I kind of like. He's a good setup man, but I don't know. I just don't think they have the best arms, like fully as a whole team compared to the Brewers, they have a really good bullpen. They have they're second in the league in bullpen behind, the best, I mean, besides the Yankees who aren't in the postseason. So yeah, they have the best bullpen in the postseason. I think pitching, I think offensively, they're sneaky good. And this is just like another case. If they're going to be lower scoring close games, that bodes extremely well for Milwaukee. And I just don't think offensively Arizona could get it rhythm going, especially against Corbin Burns in game 1. So I got to go another chalky. I got to go Brewers here.
Dylan is chalky. I'm pretty sure you called him Mark can't hit, didn't you, earlier in the season, Dylan?
Yeah, well, he couldn't hit.
But he can hit now.
Yeah.
Mark
it's all the negative vibes in New York. Once people
You and Joey D can have a separate stream later on and just slag the Mets off for a couple of hours if you want.
I think it would get good ratings.
Yeah, definitely. The final series is the Miami Marlins at the Philadelphia Phillies. plus 170 for Miami, minus 200 for Philly. Looks like Luzardo and Garrett will be 1-2. Possibly Cabrera game 3 if required. Unsurprisingly, Wheeler and Nola get the nod for the Phillies. Where do you stand on this one, Dylan?
Yeah, this one was another tricky one. I mean, Phillies they were struggling this season, against the Marlins. But I like Jesus Luzardo. He does look pretty good this season. Braxton Garrett also had a pretty good year. But, it's just not the same without Sandy Alcantara. The rookie Yuri Perez, he's been really good, but he's kind of been absent. And the bullpen with Tanner Scott, he's emerged as a closer because, David Peterson, the one that they traded for, has been shit. So I don't know. Pitching wise, I don't think they have the pieces to keep up. And Philly, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, they've been really good this season. The bullpen looks really good. They look deep. Craig Kimbrel has been great for them. He did have some stretches where he was a little inconsistent, but this is what this team didn't have in previous years, was a good deep bullpen. So I think pitching, they have the advantage, and offensively, I think the Marlins are the worst team in the playoffs right now. They tried to make some acquisitions in the trade deadline with Josh Bell, Jake Berger, shout out Luis Arias. He did win the hitting title, which he's a beast. But other than that, Jorge Soler, he had a bounce back year. He kind of moved the needle a little bit, but this remains still one of the lowest scoring teams in the MLB because they're the league's lowest walk rates. They struggled in the second half in leaving runners in scoring positions. And they just don't win those close games, those one-score games. They just can't win those games. And against the Phillies, who have a really good lineup, I worry about them. So another one, it's boring. I took all favorites besides the Blue Jays, but yeah, I like the Phillies here.
Right, it's a good job I'm here, Dylan, because I'm all over Miami, obviously. The starting pitchers here, I just don't think this is a great matchup for Philly. And it's mainly the left-handed pitching angle. I think if Philly could choose different opposition, they would. You've got Luzardo and Garrett going to lefties. I mean, Miami have the third lowest league ERA between them. Luzardo and Garrett have a perfect 4-0 against Philly, a perfect 4-0 record this year in the games they've played. And as much as the batting averages and stuff, Philly's okay against lefties, but it's just the big boppers aren't as good. And they're absolutely not. And you can throw Tanner Scott in there as well as another lefty who's going to cause them problems because he's been absolutely lights out lately. You mentioned him. He's been absolutely great. Brandon Marsh hit a dinger against Matt Strahm on Sunday, lefty. So people have been saying he might get a game. Might be a player prop angle in there. But, I mean, Philly won the first 6 postseasons games last year. They got wildly hot at the right time. It's going to be a difficult environment for Miami. It's loud. But I just don't think Wheeler and Nola are invincible. Miami won the season series 7-6. They won that 4-2 in Philly. So there's quite a few pointers that tell you Miami can go okay here. And I think they're a big price. I'll take the plus 170 on Miami. Okay, let's have a look at these game ones, Dylan. I'll tell you
real quick before we go, we're opposite on everything, right? Besides the Rays.
Yeah, pretty much. We've just spent 24 minutes wasting everybody's time, Dylan, is what we've done there.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, everyone. No, you pick your runner in the race. Do you want me or do you want Dylan?
You've known me for a while now. You know I'm usually not that chalky too. So when I was going through them and I did like all the favorites, besides I guess the Blue Jays, who are very short dogs, it was the closest odds or closest series. I was kind of worried. I'm not gonna lie, since liking all the favorites is not a good recipe.
The fact is, no one's gonna bet anything because we're betting it. People are gonna bet what they want to bet, and sometimes it's like when I listen to Sean and Ryan on the NFL show, one of them will make an argument. They're very often on opposite sides. One of them makes an argument that just sways me one way or the other, and it's just consuming more information helps you reach your conclusion. So yeah, I don't think it makes any difference at all that we're on different sides because it's certainly not going to sway anybody one way or the other.
It just makes me feel confident when we're all aligned.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. if I was you, I would be more confident that you're on the other side to me. Is what that should be your plus point here. Underdog Fantasy has got you the best way to play alongside your favourite football team all season long. Win up to 20x in a single game by going 5 for 5. From now until October the 4th, Underdog is matching 100% of first deposits up to $500. You've got $100,000 Sundays on Underdog Fantasy, $2 million in total prizes, 100,000 weekly, 10k to 10 people. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. Have you got a Underdog player prop for tonight?
Yeah, give me DK Metcalf over 60.5 receiving yards. DK torches man coverage, and G-Men they run the league's most man coverage in the NFL. So he's gone over this in his last 2 games. I think Geno Smith and DK have a good game. So yeah, DK over 60.5 receiving yards.
How did the Jets keep it close last night? That wasn't meant to happen.
Yeah, ref show, but
okay.
What are you gonna?
Yeah, I heard it was the NFL script because everyone.
Yeah. My problem is, why the hell do they keep showing Taylor Swift? Good PR move by the NFL and them, but Jesus Christ, I'm so sick and tired of this woman.
That photo of Brittany Mahomes looking really pissed off is absolutely great because she's not the biggest show in town anymore. She's sitting eating a churro, I think, with a face like thunder. Absolutely made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, game ones then. First off tomorrow, 3:08 Eastern time, which is that's 8 minutes past 8 in the evening for me. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Champions League tomorrow on one TV, baseball on the other. Outstanding stuff.
Real quick,
Texas Rangers and
real quick, I just want to ask you, are you more leaning, since we got your plays for this series, are you most likely going to take them game 1 or no?
No, I've got a total. I've got something else. Yeah. Why? Do you want to?
No. I was just curious because you did say where, who we do end up picking for the series, we might go with game 1. So I was just confused a little bit.
Okay. No, I've tried to mix it up a little bit. It's Jordan Montgomery for the Rangers, left-handed pitcher, and Tyler Glasnow for Tampa Bay. Plus 130 Texas, minus 148 for Tampa Bay. Montgomery, 10 and 11 on the year, 3.20 ERA. Total here is 8, by the way. And he's been a fearsome opponent lately. 273 on the road, 193 in his last 5. He's only given up 2 earned runs in his last 27 innings pitched. Hasn't got much help off Texas. They've been struggling. They lost 3-2. They've won 2-0. They've lost 4-2. And they do look like good comparison games. Texas have lost 3 of the last 4. They've been shut out twice. Now, Tyler Glasnow, 10 and 7, 3.53 ERA. He hasn't been stellar lately. His last start was okay, 5 scorers at Boston, and he has been good at home, 3.18 ERA. If you want a K prop, Tyler Glasnow might be the place to be. 56 2/3 at home, 83 strikeouts. I mean, that's 1.5 strikeouts per inning, maybe even more. It is more, 28. A little bit less. What about 1.47 maybe strikeouts per 9? He was lights out in July and August, but he doesn't have a great playoff record either. 2 and 5 with a 5.75 ERA playoffs. So the picks I already gave, Tampa Bay to win from behind. It's reasonable to expect that I've taken Texas in this game. Otherwise, it's impossible. Yeah, so give me Texas at plus 130, please, Dylan.
Yeah, so interesting this game. I was looking at Tyler Glasnow's strikeout prop. It's at 7.5 right now. At home, you're right. He does do this. He's gone over in 6 of his last 10 games, but home or road splits, he's only hit this 4 of his last 10 games, around 40%. One game against the Texas Rangers. He only had 6 strikeouts. So I actually went a different route. I went Jordan Montgomery over 4.5 strikeouts. And last 10 games, he's gone over this in 7 of his last 10 games. In his one start against Tampa, he only had 2. But I do like him here on the road. Last 10 games, he's gone over this on the road 6 of his last 10 times. So I like that as a player prop. But for the game, I did make the Rays a -150 favorite with Glass now. So I guess the more money that does come in on the Rays, I might take a flyer on the Rangers. Montgomery has looked good on the road since coming over from the Cardinals. In his 5 games with the Rangers, he's allowed 6 runs in 32 innings and 1/3. I think he's actually looked better than Glass now recently. But on the other hand, like I was saying, I just trust this offense of the Rays a little more than I do the Rangers right now. They're averaging 7.4 runs per game this past week, while the Rangers, they've only scored 13 runs in the past 5 games. They laid up 2 goose eggs in the last 5 games. So it all depends on the number, but the more it comes down to, I just trust the Rays a little more. Like I said, they've been here. They have a better bullpen. They have the experience. I trust they have the hotter bats right now. So I would take them in game 1. And I also do like Jordan Montgomery over 4.5 strikeouts.
Okay, different sides again, Dylan. Although we've got some different stuff here. We've got some strikeout props and what have you. Next up, AL wildcard game 1, 4:38 Eastern Time. Toronto Blue Jays, Minnesota Twins. Kevin Gausman still officially TBD, but to all intents and purposes will be going for the Blue Jays, and Pablo Lopez for the Twins. It is a match on the books, -111 each of 2, with a total of 7.5 to them.
Yeah, Mal, I told you last week I had the worst luck back in the Blue Jays, but my numbers did make them a -130 for this game 1 with Gausman and Pablo Lopez on the mound. I don't know about the Twins being this big of a favorite. I thought it would open around a pick 'em right now. Excuse me, I am seeing the Twins around a -115, -120 favorite. So the money actually is coming in on the Twins, which is surprising, but I will take the short dog here on the road. I think offensively, they can be a little inconsistent, but when they're seeing the ball well, I feel like only a few teams in the postseason can go head to head with them. I don't think the Twins are one of those teams. Twins strike out a lot, and I think they could have a big game making them chase the ball. He had Kevin Gausman, that he did have 35 strikeouts in the month of September, and in 10 innings versus the Twins this season, he does have 12 strikeouts. So maybe you want to look towards a Kevin Gausman strikeout prop as well. The Blue Jays, they have the better bullpen. They have the better offense. I think Kevin Gausman is better than Pablo Lopez, especially in his last 3 games. Pablo Lopez just has not looked good his last 3 games coming into the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm on here. Like I said, I'm on them for the series at +105, and I also like them in game 1 -105.
I've got a slightly different angle, so we can both get a winner here. Gausman is pitching well, 243 in his last 5, 327 on the road. 2 starts against Minnesota haven't been great. He's pitched 10 innings, given up 11 hits, 9 walks in those 2 starts, and 7 earned runs. I'm just not sure I trust him or the lineup, as already outlined in the series preview. Pablo Lopez hasn't caught the eye lately, but Minnesota do keep winning his starts. His second half of the season's been much better, 3.36 ERA post All-Star break. Both teams are counterintuitive. Like I said, the Blue Jays are more defense and pitching. And actually, the Twins have scored runs. They're 3rd in homers, 10th in runs, 7th in slugging. I'm going to take Minnesota team total over 3.5, Dylan. I saw that. That's at a price of -116. I do think Minnesota will win, but a little safety net here because I've got them to win the series. I'll take the Minnesota team total over 3.5 is -116. 7:08 Eastern is the penultimate game on the card. The Arizona Diamondbacks at the Milwaukee Brewers. Brandon Pfaadt for the D-backs and Corbin Burns for the Brewers. +155 Arizona, -175 Milwaukee. Total of 7.5. I got a right snotty nose, Dylan. I don't know where that's come from. This is new.
COVID?
I didn't have a snotty nose. What?
COVID?
Oh, don't say that. I don't care.
No, it's just funny that COVID has come back mysteriously when everyone has said that we beat it, but it was just like a joke.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the only thing I've got to do this week urgently is go to watch Newcastle v PSG. So COVID or no COVID, I'll be going to the match on Wednesday. No worries about that.
Send the group chat some pictures.
Yeah, I will do, mate. Yeah. Brandon Fart on the years 3-8, 5.72 ERA. But I don't think his numbers tell the full story of what he's capable of. If you need to look through his game log, and it shows you that he can flash. He's got, in the last 2 months, he's got a 7-inning, 1 earned run effort at the Giants. He's got 7 innings scoreless at the Padres. He's got 5 1/3 scoreless at the Cubs. He's got 5 2/3 scoreless at the White Sox. All fairly recently. So it is quite hard to know what we're getting, but he's absolutely capable. He's live in this spot here. Corbin Burns, 2.51 ERA in his last 5, 1.85 in July. I mean, he was absolutely lights out in parts. I expect a good start from Burns, but I outlined the issues I've got with the Brewers. They are versatile. They can manufacture some runs. But this is a low total, 7.5, and with the Diamondbacks pushing hard on the base paths, I'm going to take Arizona at plus 155. If you want a really chalky play, Arizona on the run line, plus 1.5. It's minus 147. I don't think there's going to be much in this. Plus, we need to be scattering these Arizona stolen base props because that is how they're going to win the series, and they know that too. They'll be taking Contreras on. So, yeah, that would be my place here, Dylan.
Yeah, I can't back the Snakes here. They're not coming into the playoffs playing good baseball well. I don't trust their pitching, like I said earlier, especially on the road. And like I said, if these games wind up becoming close, low-scoring games, I feel like that just doesn't bode well for this Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks, bottom of the pack for their bullpen, while Brewers, like we mentioned, they have the best bullpen rotation in the playoffs. At home, the Brewers are wagons this season. Now, they do have their ace going on the bump at home, Corbin Burns, who's looked really good in this past month. You mentioned Brandon Fart, and on the road, there have been some starts that he's looked okay, but against the White Sox, against some of those teams that have really kind of checked out, I don't know how much we could give into that. He's given up 4 or more runs in 3 of his last 4 road starts. The Snakes have lost 6 of his last 7 road starts. So even if he does pitch well, sometimes they just don't get the run support. I just don't think this is a good series for the Diamondbacks. They need to play a lot of small ball. They need to be aggressive on the base pass, like you mentioned. So it's going to be a little chalky. If you don't want to take him on the Diamondback on the run line, on the money line, excuse me, I would take him on the run line plus 120 for the Brewers because I don't want to lay. It's over minus 170. So I'll lay the 1.5 with the Brewers plus 120.
Would you, as standard, use the word snot, Dylan? Is that a common American term?
Yeah, like you got boogers and snot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. I wasn't sure if it was another one of parochial ones, but yeah. Okay, good. Nice to know that snot is international. The final game off is the NL wildcard game between the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies, 8:08. And it's left-handed pitcher, Jesus Luzardo, taking on Zach Wheeler. Plus 145 Miami, minus 166 the Phillies, total 7.5, D-Rock.
Yeah, these two teams, like we mentioned, they've kind of split the series. No, actually, the Fish won 7-6 versus the Phillies, but I think I got to take the Phillies here in game 1. I like Jesus Luzardo. I did mention he's kind of turned into the ace, but he does struggle on the road. He just lost to this Brewer team that 12-0 in his last road start. Zach Wheeler, he goes deep into games. I like that for the Phillies, especially takes a little pressure off of their bullpen as well. He'll give up a few runs, Zach Wheeler, but his offense, he's backed up by one of the best offenses in the league. They give him run support. And besides the strikeout category for the Phillies, they have the better bats. Surprisingly, they have a top 5 bullpen. Like I said, something they didn't have in previous years. The Marlins, they struggle on the road, just about a 500 team. While the Phillies, they've been great at home. I just think they're just outmatched here. So another game, I'll take the run line, minus 1.5 at plus 130. I think it's good value against Luzardo, who struggles on the road. So, yeah, Phillies minus 1.5 at plus 130 for me.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Luzardo, 4.50 September ERA. He was really good in the dog days of summer, June and July. He's faced the Phillies twice, 6 innings both times, gave up 2 and 3, which I think is a kind of reasonable thing to expect here. Wheeler is not as good at home, 4.13 ERA. And at the minute, he's in this pattern of sort of one good start, one bad start. I've mentioned that Philly, the average against the lefties is okay, but the counting numbers are way down. They're not scoring loads against lefties. I'm going to think this might be a bit of a slow burner. My pick here is going to be the first 5 under 4. Under 4 runs is -105. So a bit of a different angle. I didn't just want to give out the same angles for my series as the game 1 pick. So yeah, first 5 under 4, -105, Dylan. And I think that's everything handicapped. Is there anything else you want to draw our attention to?
No, I will say as the days get longer, the days get colder here on the Northeast. So Minnesota as well, they play outside for that game we just talked about in Philadelphia against the Fish. Winds will be blowing in. It will be a little cooler as the month has turned to October. It's going to be around 60 degrees. So you're going to see low totals here in the playoffs. And I agree on the under. I set my total for that game 7.2. So we're getting a 7.5. I do like the under there. But yeah, I would just like how we start in the beginning of the season with a lot of unders. I think the playoffs could, especially here on the East Coast, it will get really cold really quick. So just be alert on that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you look at the lines here for the 4 games, 8 and then 3 7.5s, which we haven't seen. We like the only time you see a 7.5 in September is when Miami have been playing. Do you have a team that you're rooting for here? Are you supporting anyone? Because obviously you spent some time in Minnesota, didn't you, this year?
Nice
do you just not care?
Nice ballpark. To be honest, I don't want anyone to win, especially in the National League. Actually, yeah.
Well, I'll word it differently. Yeah. Have you got any live tickets running for you that you're rooting for?
Yeah, I have the Houston Astros to win the World Series at +500. So I'm rooting for them. My bank account's rooting for them. But I guess I would say if I had to take a team, it'd be America's team, Baltimore Orioles. I mean, I went to college down in Maryland. I've been to Camden Yards multiple times. It's one of the best ballparks I've ever been to. The people in Baltimore deserve this. And they just have a young, fun team. It's like very hard not to root for them. So I got in over their win total at 76.5. So yeah, I'm rooting for the Baltimore Orioles. I really hope they could win it. That'd be fun.
In the very first, it might have been the first or the second, the Futures Fridays that we were doing, sort of back in May, early June. Myself and Noah sat and did that division, and Noah gave out the Baltimore Orioles at 30-1. They were then to go and win that division. Yeah, so we throw out a lot of picks on the show, but every now and again there are some nuggets get thrown up. My Arizona Diamondbacks 66-1 ticket is my biggest runner. So I might have handicapped them with my pocket rather than my brain a little bit tonight. And then I've got a few other little bits and bobs. Myself and Lonte took some Houston 11-1. Again, one of the Future Fridays, actually. We did probably 2 weeks ago. We said that Houston would sneak in, limp over the finish line, and holy shit, they're then live at 11-1. So yeah, we got a little bit of that. So that's my rooted interest. But yeah, I just hope it's fun, really. I hope everybody has a lovely time, Dylan. Okay, well done, mate. That was fun. Happy with what we've done there. Looking forward to watching some games tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone who joined us in the chat. Riley, Joey, Case, and Mr. Donahue, Catfish, etc. Really appreciate it. The rest of the playoffs will look something like this. It's hard to know what's going on and what nights, but you can be sure that some members of the team will be here handicapping all the playoff action for you. Good luck tomorrow. Enjoy the games. And we'll see you down the road. Cheers.